President Sky Turd is, at hard at work saying, "I want to be a king." He didn't like the fact that we said no kings, and now he's trying to create the White Palace in place of the White House. In honor of that, Joe, I went today for lunch to the actual White Palace, which is a diner in Chicago. You
I've been there. I've been there.
right? It proudly serves like you can get bacon and eggs and a chocolate milkshake, right? You know, it is that kind of place. It doesn't, it's not fancy. But, but he wants to have the White Palace because he's embarrassed when he goes to see Buckingham Palace or Elysee Palace. He's jealous when he thinks of the Kremlin. And you know what? We're proud that we have a White House we didn't build that building by accident. We built it on purpose. We didn't fail to build a palace. We chose not to build a palace because that's not who we are. And he's going to try and drag us there kicking and screaming. And if what he's doing in my city is any indication, by force. And you know what? We cannot let him get away with it. So you asked why am I pissed off? That's it.
Well, I'd love to, let's explore that, my friend. I'm glad that you're angry because usually I'm the one who's fed up and angry. I got to be honest, though, I'm profoundly sad. What he's doing to the White House, I'm not yet at the angry stage. Edwin, I look at those images and I feel like my people's house has been attacked.
It has been.
I felt I have the same pit in my stomach I had when the other people's house was attacked on January 6th. I feel violated, and I'm angry at all of my former Republican colleagues who have just allowed this guy to do whatever.
Whatever. I mean, by the way,
Whatever.
I want to offer a reward for the American who could find the House of Representatives. Like, where are they? Like, I don't know. They're not in Washington. Where's the House of Representatives? The government's shut down. The president is I don't know, destroying a national treasure when we haven't, again, as he did on January 6th, right? I mean, he's responsible for two attacks on America, the one in the Capitol, now the one at the White House. And the Congress, your former Congress, I don't know what rock they're hiding under, but they're not in Washington. They're not doing their job.
No, Senate Democrats have been in Washington. Senate Republicans have been in Washington.
Yep.
Edwin, the House hasn't even been in session almost ever, but House Democrats have been going to Washington. The only group of people that haven't been in Washington are House Republicans. House Republicans. And by the way, the guy in the White House, Edwin, hasn't lifted a finger to do anything with this shutdown. Not at all.
Except to take advantage of it.
Yes.
Which he's done. Acting illegally, shutting down departments, stopping funding to districts. I think one of the districts that he has targeted is here in Illinois because he doesn't like Di Ramirez, who's a congressman. He's targeting specific American communities to withhold federal funds for political purposes. He's treating the federal treasury as his personal treasury, like a king does. Oh, by the way, and now he wants a $230 million tip from the American taxpayer. You got to be, this is as disgusting a thing as anybody's ever, a tip. He wants us to pay him $230 million. I guess he figured if he could use a lawsuit to shake down CBS and they would pay him money, even though they were going to win the suit, he could sue his own government and get Pam Bondi to say, oh, we settle. You can have as much money as you want.
Okay. But respond to this, partner. I don't blame Trump for thinking that. And I don't blame Trump for thinking I can just knock down the White House if I want. I don't blame Trump for thinking I can try to overthrow an election I lost. I blame his enablers. Donald Trump is like a 2-year-old who's been trained to think he can get whatever he wants and do whatever he wants and say whatever he wants. It's almost like, and I do blame Trump, but it's almost like I don't blame him for thinking I can do whatever I want. That makes sense, right?
Well, right, because the checks and balances in our system are broken, courtesy of a long time to break them. The Supreme Court sure helped break them for years, but the Republicans in Congress could stop this. Congress has the power to stop it. They've always had that power if they want to use it, but they haven't. What they've said is, I'm sorry, Your Honor, our power is your power. You can have it. And whatever crumbs you leave us, well, we'll go to what used to be a rose garden and now is this little, you know, paved square, but we'll go wait out there for our audience with you in the Oval Office, and get whatever crumbs you want to give us. It's disgraceful. I mean, Mike Johnson is one of the most disgraceful House leaders, maybe the worst in American history. And
Good,
it's a long, ugly list, but it's really
good. He's a good, openly proud Christian man, Edwin. Come on now. Come
I
on
know,
now.
with a porn amp. I
I always go back to this, though. For some reason, I always go back to the 2020 election.
Mm,
For the first and only time in American history, a president lost an election and refused to accept the result. And then he committed crimes trying to overthrow an election. That happened in this country. And Edwin, once Trump got away with that, then I think in his little mind, he thought, fuck it, I can do anything. Once Republicans didn't hold him accountable for that.
yeah. Well, look, appeasement doesn't work when you have a tyrant. It just doesn't. And you know, uh, uh, your old friend Kevin McCarthy. I mean, when he was down and almost out, Kevin McCarthy went down there to Mar-a-Lago and said, "What can we do to turn this around and help you?" And I mean, Kevin McCarthy found out that what happens to people who help Donald Trump, they get
Yeah.
used and thrown away. Right? And everybody else who's done it gets used and thrown away. And the American people are getting used and thrown away.
Yeah. And I think, and maybe the hope is these images of our house
Our house.
uh, being demolished, there's something visceral about that. Like Trump has invaded so much destruction over the last 10 months. Some of it for folks is hard to understand. So he crippled USAID and 100,000, impoverished children around the world have died.
Right.
But we don't see that. But
Well,
we
wait, he crippled
see
USAID because God forbid we should be involved in giving money to foreign countries. But he just gave 20 billion and it might be 40 billion
40.
Argentina, right? Because he's got some of his own team who've got money invested there. It's as corrupt and ugly as anything ever.
But we see the destruction in
Of the
these images of the White House.
yeah,
And I think, Edwin, it's the same thing that's going on in your town, our town right now. People are seeing the videos of these masked federal agents
yeah,
doing what they're doing on
yeah,
our streets.
yeah. They don't like it. Don't like it. So about the White House, like uh, I think there was a dust up a few years ago when Barack was president, and he talked about changing the image on a $20 bill, getting rid of Andrew Jackson, right? And there was an uproar, and he's now I know Donald Trump has changed the $20 bill because the back of the $20 bill is, of course, the White House. The White House. There's an
Oh,
image of
yeah.
the White House. And what are we going to have that image look like now? We have to change the 20 to have like half of it be torn off. You know?
That's Edwin, I didn't think of that. You're right. And I think, right, he wants his image on a coin, right? Wasn't that another thing? And that's against the law. You
He got
have
it
to
on a
wait
bill.
until.
He has it on a bill. Yeah.
Right. That's really actually fascinating. But I loved what you said at the beginning. Trump wants to turn that um, uh, our house, the people's house,
Yeah.
into a palace. A
The palace.
palace. That's what he wants. That's utterly un-American, but Trump doesn't understand or know what America is.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. We should do our show from the White Palace in Chicago sometime.
I love that idea.
Show people what it really is. But he wants the White Palace. He's embarrassed when he goes to England. How could this little country have a palace and we don't? Well, we don't for a reason. We don't
For a
want it,
reason.
right? We're powerful enough to build a palace. We don't want one. We have plenty of palaces in the private sector. And that's where we want them. We want people to be able to make money and do what they want with it. But the people's house belongs to all of us.
So let me ask you a question because I put this in front. I did this on Substack and elsewhere yesterday. Serious question. if Donald Trump next Tuesday began tearing down part of the Washington Monument
Mhm.
all by himself because he didn't like the way it looked, whatever, would any Republican in the House or Senate say anything if he took a backhoe to the Washington Monument? Honestly.
Well, not their track record is no. They would say, "Oh, he's gonna build something better. Just wait. He's got an idea. Washington deserves a monument made out of gold. He's gonna fix it. That'll be, it'll be better. It'll be even bigger." It turns out there's an obelisk that's higher somewhere else in the world, and we gotta have a taller one. So, right?
I agree with you.
Yeah.
But Edwin, think about how frightening that is.
What it
What?
says to me is they have to all be thrown out. They have to all be thrown out. It's not enough to get rid of Donald Trump. We got to get rid of your former colleagues. We got to say, I hope you gerrymander enough so that you're in a district that isn't 80% for you. It's only 60% for you, and we beat you there, and we take these seats from you. Because Americans, I think, Republicans, Democrats, whatever. I mean, the party labels don't matter. People like the White House. The party labels don't matter. They don't want stormtroopers on our streets. This is no longer about I hate this party, I hate that party. We love our country, and the people who do are going to vote all of these thugs out. They've participated in like the biggest
Yeah,
thing ever. Not just money, but our country.
you're right. And I say this as a former Republican. We need to vote against Republicans at every single level
Every level.
in
Every
26 because it is now the entire party. And it's been that way now for a while.
And look, there are conservatives out there who don't have a party. And
Yes.
I know that 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 will mean that the left, should it get in charge, will make mistakes. You need two parties to balance each other. You need a left of center and a right of center to balance each other in America. And we don't have that. We have a big tent on the Democratic side that is a little bit to the left, and you have nothing except the fascist party on the right that believes that government is about preserving the party at all costs and the king in charge and not about policy. There's no policy sense in this government anymore. So we need a right of so if the conservatives in America are going to have a party, they have to kill the one that's called Republican now.
Well, that's a great point. I mean, and I'm one of those conservatives, and because I want to stay involved in the hand-to-hand combat of politics,
Hmm.
I joined the other party to help
Yep,
the other party.
and
But
you're
if
well.
I well, thank you. You've embraced me. A lot have. The party establishment's just given me a golf clap. But 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 if I
Which
wasn't
more than they've given to Mr. Mamdani, who won a primary. So
uh, exactly,
yeah,
exactly. But if I wasn't involved still in the hand-to-hand combat of politics, I don't know that I would have become a Democrat. But to your point, there are a lot of conservatives out there like me who are just independents. They're politically homeless right now.
yep.
They're not going to get that party back, though, Edwin. That ain't happening in your and my lifetime, my friend.
Well, if we can, if you and I, if we get our dream, and the Republicans are massacred,
Yeah.
how do they rebuild? I mean, MAGA will not be able to rebuild if it gets repudiated, as it should be repudiated. My God, how could decent people not repudiate the MAGA party and what it stands for? Destruction of the White House, troops on our streets. Forget foreign aid to people who are in need, but give it to Scott Bessett's friends because they've invested in Argentina. This is not, no Americans like this.
I agree. Now, I think MAGA has grown as a movement. Our party, the Democratic Party, they're part of the equation here, as you and I
Yeah.
talk about every week. They got to get their act together because, Edwin, their national brand sucks.
So, one of the things that I think we should do, and let's talk about this. I think even though it's off cycle and doesn't make sense, the DNC should gather a bunch together and hammer out an interim party platform.
That's an awesome idea.
Right? Because America right now doesn't think we stand for anything.
Right.
I think we really do, but we haven't had an organized structure that has given it voice. And I think Americans want to know, okay, I get it. We don't like what we see over there, but they're saying that you guys are all for whatever it is social idea that we don't like this week. You know, uh, who are you? So, I mean, other than the opposition to this terrible stuff. And I think we have an answer, but we need an organized way to.
But Edwin, that's a great thought, and you're right. That's a great idea. But could the Democratic Party develop a unifying platform right now? I don't know.
I think you could. It doesn't, I mean, not at the level of spelling out a specific program as it would have to be passed by Congress. Uh, and it would be premature and stupid to do that because then it's just like
Yeah,
a target. But big principles that we care about, absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely, and in a lot of places, so it's clear where you're going. And you know what? And if the DNC doesn't want to do it, the Democratic governors should do it,
oh yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah,
That's a great idea. Less policy based, but values based. What you stand for.
yeah, and it can have some policy
Oh, it
ideas.
has to.
Sure,
Yeah.
absolutely, but I mean, it doesn't have to be the bill, right? Because that Congress has to do its job at some point.
I always love asking you this question every week because you're back home in Chicago. Our local Democratic political leadership, the mayor, the governor, everybody else, how are they fighting with what Trump and ICE are doing in Chicago?
Well, I mean, like I'm not a big fan of my mayor, just to be, but
I'm not either.
but he's doing it on this issue, right? He's doing a fine job. He's not confused about what side he's on. Now, he's done some things like saying ICE can't stage on city-owned land, but he hasn't been able to enforce that. ICE has
Yeah,
staged on land. So, and the governor's done as good a job as he can do. The attorney general has been in court, and winning in court, doing
yeah.
remarkable stuff. And I mean, local aldermen, for gosh sakes. I mean, the Chicago aldermen have not, I mean, I was in a crowd. They all mostly got indicted. I mean,
Yeah.
the sort of standing of our city council has never been very high. But they are doing remarkable things in their communities. They are following ICE around with air
I
horns,
saw that.
alerting
Yeah.
people, going to hospitals, and talking to people who ICE has hurt. They're doing their job, and this and as it always does, you know, when they invaded this city,
Yeah.
and they thought we are going to subdue this city with our show of
Yeah.
force, and then they didn't. But it provided opportunities not just for the elected people to lead, but for citizens to lead. And
Yeah.
so ordinary people have organized to go deliver food to people who are afraid to go out of their houses. They've organized people to go spend money in communities that need it, but they can't go to work there. They've organized to show up at schools when kids are let out to make sure they can get home safely. It's an absolutely beautiful thing. So the government leaders, no criticism of them really for their leadership in this, but I'm deeply in awe of the way citizens have stepped up and taken on leadership roles to not just to protest, but to actually make people's lives better during this occupation.
Well, look, I said this on MSNBC last weekend.
Mhm.
I always catch flack when I say this, but this is the one beautiful thing about Trump. Because he's so bad, he's forcing us in real time to decide what kind of country we want to be. And clearly, most of the country is saying, we ain't going to be the kind of country that disappears brown and black people off of our streets.
Nope,
That's good.
nope. Or one that's ruled from a palace, or who has a president
Exactly.
idea to pass a video where he's dumping crap on half the country. I mean,
It's the great thing about Trump because he's so bad and he's actually doing these horrible things. We're being forced to decide. That's
right.
good.
And all of America except the Republicans in Congress have decided. What hole are they in? I know because I read we can't find them. They must be like hiding somewhere with like no internet connection. Because if they knew what was going on, would they really be this bad? Yeah, I guess so.
Well, but I haven't done this in a while, my friend. If you and I just watch Fox News only 5 nights a week, I don't know what they're getting every night.
Yeah,
I don't know what they're getting about the White House, and the East Wing is gone as you and I speak
gone,
right now.
gone,
Gone.
gone, absolutely
I
gone.
don't. I don't know that Fox News will show that.
Oh, come on. I mean, the Wall Street Journal shows it. Owned by the same guys.
I know. I get pissed at the Journal because they keep going back and forth on Trump.
Yeah,
They've done it for years.
they go back and forth, but at least they get to one side once in a while.
Yeah,
Not so much the editorial side, but the news.
right.
But Fox, you think they won't show the destruction of the White House? Wow.
I I do not believe they will show full images. I do not believe they will say the East Wing is gone. I don't even think on a straight news show like Brett Baer's show,
Yeah.
I don't think he'll say that. I don't think he'll say that.
Well, I don't think it can be hidden. I mean, most people don't get their news that way. Social media is very powerful these days.
Yeah.
There is no way people can completely hide from the fact that half of the White House is missing, like Congress. It's gone.
Think about that. I mean, it's wild. I posted on Twitter, someone was on an airplane taking off over the White House.
Yeah.
And from that vantage point, it's devastating when you look down on the ground.
Yeah.
And you just said it. It's like half of the White House is gone.
Now, this morning I woke up and I thought, I wouldn't put it past him. We are going to see in the next few days Donald Trump in a video looking to the camera saying, you can have a piece of the historic White House.
Oh, yeah.
It used to be in the East Wing, and I've signed it. And for $50, I'm selling you a brick that used to be part of the East Wing. This is who they are. Just beyond. And I had that thought this morning. I'm like, how could I even think such a ridiculous thought? And the answer is, duh.
He'll do it.
Yeah,
he'll do it.
Yeah.
And again, if I were running for president in 28 as a Democrat, and I'm not playing around, I'm not kidding.
Yep.
I would say publicly, I'm tearing that ballroom down and I'm restoring the East Wing. And I know some serious candidates like JB and Newsom and all the rest. They may be tempted to say that, but if you say that, you have to be prepared to do it.
No, they have. We cannot have a palace. We can't have it. I tear all the gold out, tear that East Wing down. I mean, I used to think Mar-a-Lago should be the American Museum of Fascism in the next one, but I disagree. I now think we should just tear it down too. Just like be done. Just done.
Tear down Mar-a-Lago.
Tear it down. Get rid of it. Just get rid of it. He tore the White House down. I'm sorry, buddy. We're gonna rent you a van. We're gonna sit you there, and you're gonna watch this house you love gone. He's tearing down our house, Joe.
I know, and he's gonna build a ballroom, and that ballroom has to come down.
Yeah.
And Democrats can't be afraid to say that.
They should be proud to say it. We don't want a palace. Period. They should be proud to say it.
I agree with you.
Let's be honest. The White House could use some updating. Okay, update it, but you don't build a palace. That's not on the cards.
I actually like that. You do not build a palace. We don't have palaces here.
Mm-mm.
Man, we got to go. And next, we have to go to the White Palace.
We have to go
do this.
Right? Absolutely.
I love that. I love that.
I mean, last time
Thank you.
This thing we talked about, Thomas Jefferson, and you're a little bit. Yeah, but can you imagine how appalled he?
I lost you.
You did? Am I back?
No, now I got you.
Okay, I'm just thinking how, your friend Jefferson would be so disgusted, so completely disgusted.
Our founders would have grabbed their muskets 8 months ago, and they'd be revolting against him.
Yep. Led by George Washington, who would have. But I mean, this is a terrible crowd. And I've said it before, I've never in my life, and I'm not young, I've never, any administration that we've had, been able to say there is not a single person in an important role in our government that I admire. It's never happened before.
No, I can't think of anyone.
I mean, how sad is that? No one. I mean, Kristi Noem used taxpayer money this week to buy not one, but 2 Gulfstream jets. One for her to fly around in search of a photo op of her separating families from the kids. And the other, I don't know what the other's for, hair and makeup. I mean, really, like what is going on? And taxpayers are paying for this?
But it makes sense. Because Donald Trump is an utterly horrible human being. So to work for him, you've got to kind of be the same.
I guess. But, this is where your Tea Party guys used to bang the table and saying, this is the kind of thing that we really don't, that we object to. And instead, they're saying, let's go indict John Brennan. I mean,
I'm the only last remaining guy in the Tea Party coalition. They all sold out to MAGA.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if they care at all about American freedom, they better stand up now. Because this guy wants it to go.
I don't think they will. Do you? I don't think they will.
Not the ones in Washington. Outside of Washington, I think all over, people who call themselves Republicans, people who call themselves, people who don't know what to call themselves are standing up. I mean, 7 million people showed up for no kill.
Oh, I agree.
Right? 7 million. That's not all hardcore Democrats.
No.
I mean,
that's independents. That's a lot of conservatives. Yeah.
I was standing there in Chicago with somebody I know to be a conservative Republican, and we were right next to the Communist Party guys. This is just like, okay, whatever. We just have to end this, not this occupation of our country.
No kings, no palaces.
Yeah.
No palaces.
No palaces.
I
right?
love that.
Just like look at the back of a $20 bill and just imagine, right? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just take a
good
marker
actually.
and mark the back of a $20 bill and see what that looks like and how you feel about that.
God. Hey, everybody listening, make sure to subscribe to Edwin Eisendrath and Joe Walsh. Thank you so much.
Joe, as always, I love our conversations. We'll do it again, same time next week.
Thank you, brother.
All right, hang in there. And White Palace it is.
It is. Thanks.
Bye.